My name's Tina Simbo. I'm here to talk about the Just Be Me Youth Project that was managed by the Scots Irish Strategy. It was based in the inner west of Newcastle upon Tyne. I was originally the lead worker and became the coordinator of the project. I came to the northeast of England in 1981 with my family. I was raised in the West End of Newcastle. I went to university in Coventry, came back to Newcastle just as the city was changing in terms of its demographics, so there's a lot more emerging communities, and that was one of the reasons I decided to stay. I got involved in community work in 2000, originally as a volunteer for a local time bank project, which uses time as a currency to build support networks in the area. Then I became a trainee community development worker, and from that I started working with young people as a subsection of the community, and then got into youth work from there. I would say for me personally, like when I grew up in Newcastle, apart from what my mother did with her friends, there wasn't many Black African people there, and there wasn't many safe spaces. So I was only Black African child in my secondary school. In my primary school, you had like the kind of racial harassment that you would get on the street, being isolated, and you often felt there wasn't somebody who was maybe protecting in those situations. I think it was important for me to be that person for other young people and to create a space where you would have young people from diverse backgrounds. So whether they're white British, whether they were Irish, whether they're Eastern European, whether they were South Asian, whether they were asylum seekers, refugees, whether they were lesbian, gay, bisexual, whether they're trans, like for young people to come and know that they would have adults who were kind of managing that space to make sure it was safe enough for them to participate. So being based in the West End, there was a secondary school called Westgate Community College that had quite a reputation at the time. It had quite a high percentage of Black and minority ethnic young people. So when there was tensions, those tensions would spill out into the local community. I'm talking about police being on horseback up on the West Road, organised fights in local parks, a lot of concern about what was going on. And basically me and Annie were working in that school, and what happened is originally we went in and we did a lot of work with the learner mentors around conflict resolution. So we did some of that work with ARCH, which was Agencies Against Racist Crime and Harassment, and that's what we're doing. But then later on, the school wanted to signpost the young people who had recently arrived to the country to be worked with, because they knew they were experiencing some bullying or some isolation, and they wanted us to do something. So we developed a program where we covered 6 areas that the young people could choose from. First of all, whenever they engaged with us, it was by choice. So it wasn't because they had to do alternative provision, and because we were youth workers, we were trying to follow the theory of like it's voluntary participation. And we offered 6 subjects that they could choose what they wanted to cover. That was hidden histories, Black and minority ethnic people in Britain, global inequalities, identity and culture, slavery and colonialism, and resilience and resistance towards racism. I think we did create a space like we had like a lot of young people from different backgrounds that were coming to the project, and it was also a space because of our own personal politics. We weren't like explicitly trying to be inclusive of particular groups of young people. We're just trying to create a space where it was safe for diverse groups of young people. So just by having that ethos that we would challenge discrimination, not just by shutting it down, but having conversations and a dialogue, it meant that a lot of different people felt they could come. And we did different things. So we had single-sex groups, we had, different types of provision. We had things like the Friday night chill, where a young person could decide, right, okay, this is what I'm going to cook. This is what the entertainment for the evening is going to be. They could invite their friends and would hang out, because we had minibuses. So what I would say for that project to be successful, it was at the time when youth work had its like glory days. There was a lot of funding. We had our own transport and we had our own premises. And the premises we had, basically we consulted with young people about what they wanted there. So they said they wanted a dance studio. We worked with the architects to make sure that one of the spaces was converted into a dance studio. They wanted a kitchen area, they wanted IT equipment. So the space became what they asked for. And that's why we could do things like Friday night chills, because we could drop them off home so the parents could be safe, that they weren't out on the street late at night. So there was a riots that happened in 2005. So there was Bradford, Burnley and Oldham, and then I think there was riots in Birmingham. And following that, that's when people started to say, the death of multiculturalism. So beforehand, originally there was some more funding to bring communities together. So what do they call it? Bridging and bonding capital. So you know, things that people had in common, but also like shared identity, shared sense of ownership. So this was the kind of theory that was going into our work. So when we developed at Streetwise, when we developed the Crunk Youth Project, which was through Fred Suwadwa, it's like we knew what did the young people have in common. So it was the music. So it brought them together based on the common interest of the music. When we developed the Crunkers youth group, it was the shared identity that those young people were creating. So a lot of people would get up, they would perform, they would rap, they would dance, they would sing. We had like, it was funny because Tiny Temper came to Newcastle to perform at a Crunk event for free almost a month before he got his first #1, you know, and he came for free. You know, and that's because he believed in what we're trying to do. Because we really did want to build solidarity amongst young people, irrespective of their religion or their ethnicity or their social class or their immigration status. And I think we did achieve that. But I just think maybe we could have maybe documented a little bit more and told other people and maybe broadened out the people who are involved in the work, which is what I would probably do now. Do you know, and say, okay, this is how you can go about replicating those kind of results.